Burning Wild Grapevines. William Hovey Smith, 2024. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And we are once again engaged in one of our usual springtime activities. That is cutting up and moving fallen limbs from my lawn. I am surrounded by forest. I like it that way. But the downside is every spring you will get limb fall, if not trees. And the reason this year is particularly bad is we've had lots of rain. The vines are growing marvelously well. The trees are now in full leaf, and we have had some heavy winds come through. So the dead branches have fallen, and also any limb that was so encrusted with vines as to catch a lot of wind has also come down, like that one behind me. And I also have a dead pine across my trail I have to move. So these are usual things. Now, moving to the south from the north is inviting for many people. And they think, oh, well, we don't have the snow to move and we don't have all that to worry with, which is mostly true. But if you live in a place like I do, or surrounded by woodlands, yeah, you're going to have this happen all the time. And you're going to need a chainsaw. Now, this is an electric chainsaw. I also have many gas chainsaws. And the electric one is particularly useful for occasional work like I'm doing right now. These are small limbs. This is an 18-inch blade. Cut up, zip, 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 and no problem at all. Although this limb is live, you can see how envined it was. Yeah. And this vine is scupping wild, and it is setting grapes. And if you've not seen them, that's what they're like up close and personal. Not only do I have those two, I have this third branch down in the yard. From here to there and across. And that is a tea olive, which is mostly known as a shrub, but also a tree. And this has a very spectacular wood. And I have a friend who has flutes made of it, if I can get a long enough straight section. They usually use the quarters rather than the half for the flute making. Early some morning, when we have a very heavy dew, I'll start this pile burning. And when it is going, start dragging up the green vines and green stuff that I've cut and start working on it. It's going to take, days to get this done. Well, we've got it started, and the wood is catching, including some of the viney and twiggy stuff from before that was sort of half dried out. And so we'll just let that work. There wasn't much wind this morning, so basically the pile burned just straight up and did not move laterally to the other side. So we're going to rearrange some stuff so we can get more of this burned. Our first snatch here is going to be with a chain, and see if we can gather up a good bunch of that from the back. That first snatch moved a limb section about 4 feet and left me this long trailer here of vines leading back to that limb. So I've hooked up to the middle of this mass of vines here, and I'm just going to try. That was successful, but even so, I did not get all of it. Going to try to snatch a limb section this time. It's entangled up with vines, and I've wrapped the chain around some of the vines and the limb itself. We'll see if they'll pull together. I would rate that as at least partially successful. And then I did get the block of wood I was wanting, as well as a trailer of vines attached to it. You can see that the roasting over the coals is at least drying some of these vines to the point of combustion. And so we're just going to continue working at this until we get most of this viney stuff on the pile, or we have to quit, one of the two, because the wind kicks up or it gets too dry. Now, different types of vines have different characteristics. Now, these scuppernons do not have feeder roots that cling to the substrate like poison oak does. So in that sense, this is easier to deal with. And thank goodness, you don't have, or I don't have, poison oak intertwined in this mess as well, although that sometimes happens. Well, we got those free, so I think that'll be the last snatch of the day. We'll resume again tomorrow, but and go ahead and work the rest of this stuff out. Support this channel by buying my outdoor books, business books, novels, and recommending them to your local libraries. Coming of age is a topic that I explore in the Goldfarb Chronicles, as both a young family as well as various young adults discover sexuality. We're going to pull and see which ones are still hanging, and maybe be able to cut those so we can ultimately leave that central portion of the limb free. That worked for a change. And not only that, but it pulled a lot of the top away over in that direction before it released. We wound up the evening with our grapevine enshrouded limb cut and moved, and everything here in the vicinity of the burn pile. We've already done one burning to get rid of the old material that was on there, and have burned some little of the new vine. And now that we have everything gathered around it, we're going to reconstruct the burn pile. And what we're going to do is gather some readily combustible wood and put on the bottom of the pile, then haul these vines over it, then put this green wood on top. And then we'll be able to get a more nearly complete combustion of the whole mess. But at least we got it out of my yard. Yeah, I got that much done. But still more to do. For those who don't know it, this is spalted oak. And what it's caused by is by a fungus that's getting along really cracks in the wood, and it's staining it differentially. And usually this goes along paths where insects or borers or rot has gotten somewhere toward the center of the trunk, and that's what causes it. Consequently, there are pithy and open sections in it, so such wood oftentimes has to be filled. but it's very attractive when made into things like knife handles and flutes and other things where you can find portions that are solid enough to actually work with. I have no lack of combustible materials to put on a fire, as this fallen rotten pine tree indicates. And of course we have hound dog supervision, as we usually do when we go to the woods. I've stripped away the bark from those rotted pines and split up several pieces of it and put on the top of a burn pile. And this is going to be our intermediate burn layer. The idea being that I'll pull the green vines over the top of this and put the green wood on top of that, and this will give a good heat source to combust everything as nearly as it can be done. My Quaker ancestors would say that all things put on this earth are for man's benefit, even things like rotted pine. But it's up to man to figure out what that benefit is. And so that's man's task. And not really a terribly bad idea for R&D. Yeah, you see what's out there in the natural environment and what can be done of benefit. Before I cover it up with the vines, I'm going to let the sun and the wind work on it a little bit so it'll dry out faster. And then we'll pull the vines over it probably this evening, I think. We have our grapevine fire started this morning. And the material we put down is kindling. That is, the split rotted wood, and also the bark is catching well. And where it's in contact with the green vines, it's actually consuming them. So that is a good result. It would be helpful to have some wind, but we don't have any wind this morning. So I'm going to be continually pulling material into the live area of the fire as I can. Every few minutes we're able to push up or pull up more material into the burn. I've just drug another batch of green vine over the top of the hot spot in the middle of the pile. And we're now about 2/3 burned. This has been a difficult burn, and one I've had to be on continuously. Usually I'm able to leave a pile like this from time to time and then come back in 15 or 20 or half 30 minutes and check on it, but not so this one. I've had to continuously work it. By continuously pulling to the hot spot of the fire, we've just about got things done now. We're getting down now to the very last gasp of the fire. The green logs, as predicted, were the last to burn and may not be even completely consumed now. But they have dried up enough to at least undergo partial burning, and we have gotten rid of almost all of the binding material at long last, and glad to have it gone. As it happened, an afternoon thunderstorm arrived and has extinguished the fire. For now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe. Goodbye, God bless, and see you next time.